So let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth fertile. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thomas Davies, pretty sure he's one of stateside as well. He's on the front row. Drone racing. So legalised drones. Not familiar with him. He's from Los Angeles in the United States, just rocked up. First time in Australia, first racetrack. His hobby is going to race meetings all around the world. This is his 2,506 different racetrack. We're going to have a chat to him at interval.
Wow, very impressive.
Here we are. World's #1 Trackchaser. He's got his own card.
Own card, he's got his own website there as well.
And also great to be at Collie Speedway. It's my first track in WA, my 2,506th in my lifetime. And yeah, we'll have a chat to him during the interval break. So welcome from Los Angeles in the United States. Here we go, wingless are set for a dispatch, heat number 4. 8 laps of the journey. Davies there in third as a car Lockwood on the outside. On the concrete wall. Randy, you've just come to WA. How long have you been here for?
Well, I landed about 2 o'clock this afternoon. I flew from Los Angeles to Sydney. I caught a flight from Sydney to here, and tonight at 1 o'clock I've got a flight from here to Melbourne.
So it's Speedway on there somewhere tomorrow, is there?
Yeah, we've got a race in the afternoon, a road course, and then an oval track in the late afternoon.
Okay, so you purposely just come here to watch this event?
You know, I've never seen a race in Western Australia. I'm trying to see a race in each Australian state.
Yep.
And my wife and I are going to be back here over Christmas, and we hope to see a race in Tasmania, which would be the 6th state.
Yep. Well, there's plenty of racing on over the Christmas New Year period. You can probably watch a race many every night of the week.
Yeah, that would be the plan. This is my 5th trip to Australia for track chasing, and really enjoy it. The people are great, the sights to see are good, and tonight's racing, I'm really impressed, except for these last race or two. The idea that you guys could run 25 races in a couple hours or so is fantastic.
What do you think about the facility and you've seen tonight?
I really like the street stocks. They put on a good show, and the rest of the classes do too. The Formula 500s are great. Compared to the U.S., you guys have a very efficient show. We would be screwing around here, and we'd have about 10 races in.
Where's the most far-flung place you've gone for a speedway event or a motorsport event?
Well, actually, my hobby of track chasing includes racing on road courses, ovals, and figure-8 tracks. And just about 10 days ago, I was in the country of Moldova, which is a country that borders Russia. Earlier this year, I was in the Maldives, and I'm hoping to go to Saudi Arabia for a Formula E race on December 15th.
How long does it take to fill up your passport?
Well, the last passport I had to get pages added twice, and they've now started to charge like $90 to get 24 more pages. So I can go through a passport pretty quickly.
So tomorrow, Melbourne. Where do you go after Melbourne?
I'm going to go to Brisbane next weekend and see some racing up there at 3 different tracks. I'll probably finish at the Sydney Motorsports Park on a Sunday. And actually, I started this trip with the idea of going to the Pro Speed Car show that was going to do it at 5 tracks,
Yes.
and they canceled.
Yes.
And so now I came up with 6 new tracks to replace those 5 tracks. It's not going to happen for me.
We'll come back to you in just a moment. We've got 2 laps to go here in this wingless sprint event. Also into Costa Mesa for bike racing. You into the bike racing as well?
That's not part of track chasing, but I've been to the speedway shows at Costa Mesa. That's the closest track that I live at. I live in San Clemente, California, about an hour south of LA. You mentioned you've been to PERRIS Auto Speedway. That's the replacement track for Ascot Park.
Yep.
And Ascot Park was a very famous track in Southern California for about 50 years.
Yeah, and when I went there, like I was saying, it's so different to here. There was only about 8 events. Starts at 8, finished at 10. Well, did the night I was there, but there was hardly any of events. And there was only one category, which were the wingless sprint cars on that particular night. But yeah, like here, we normally run 4, 5, or 6 divisions or categories on any one night.
I would say that PERRIS Auto Speedway is probably one of less than 5 tracks in the United States that runs one division. Most of our tracks actually run too many divisions, which can be 7, 8, 9 divisions.
Yep.
That gets a little lengthy. We don't run as many heat races as you guys do either. Typically, our divisions would run one heat race and then a feature.
What have you thought so far about the Formula 500s, the fast little cars with the wings on them?
Yeah, I like those. I've seen them at Simpson Speedway here last year, and they're really a good group, and they get around the track, and they don't cause a lot of spins and yellows too. So that's good. They're racing close and fast.
Is there any tracks you haven't been to that you desperately want to get to?
I would say I've been doing this for a while. 2,500 tracks, a lot of tracks, and I have seen virtually every track that I have wanted to see. But there are a lot of countries that I'm not that familiar with, and so there's still lots of places that I can go to. It's going to be fun. Every track for me is a great experience. I look to see what's unusual about the track and what's that I haven't seen before, and there always seems to be something.
What's unusual about here?
I'd say running the races as efficiently as you have is pretty unusual because in the U.S. we have so many yellow flags that it takes away from some of the entertainment value. So that's an unusual thing right now.
Yep. We're going to get you to do something. You're going to make someone happy here. This is the 50-50 raffle. Being from the United States, we'll let you dip in and pick the winning ticket and make someone happy. It's a blue ticket, C082, and it's got Chloe's name on it. We'll come back to that in just a moment. We'll get Alan to take us through the call. Well, we've still got Randy with us. We're just going to go to an interval break now. Randy, I don't know if this happens in the US all the time. We refurbish the track a little bit, give the infield staff just time to duck off if they need to, and they'll probably give the track a light grade and put some order on it before the long races. Is that something that happens in the US, or does it just get blacker and blacker and slicker and slicker?
It really depends upon the track. Some tracks tear it up. We've got a special modified race that draws 400 cars. They race 6 consecutive nights. After every 10 race, they completely tear up the track. They water it and they pack it down, and they do that after every 10 races. There's about 60 races in a night, and they take 10 minutes to do that. It's called farming. But one of the unique things about Australia, I think, is oval racing, which there's only about 4 or 5 countries in the world that do almost exclusively short track oval racing, being the United States, Canada, England, Australia, and New Zealand. Every other country pretty much is tied into road courses, and a lot of countries only have maybe one track racing. So I like oval racing. I grew up on tracks just like this size, and it's my favorite kind of racing. But after traveling a lot internationally to see road courses, that's kind of fun too.
Well, we've got your card here. We've had a look already on your website, and we've got it here, randylewis.org. If anyone wants to have a bo peep, and there's a full dossier of all the tracks and everyone you've been to, some good and bad points.
Yeah, actually, I take a lot of video clips just with my iPhone. It works really well. I'll do a YouTube video from tonight. I'll do a review of the entire situation, and also a photo album. And I want to compliment you guys. I tell people everywhere I go that the most important employee at the racetrack for the fan is the commentator. And you guys do a great job of announcing the races, explaining what's going on. And you've got a good PA system, a lot of track. One of the things that I watch quite a bit of, and I've seen it one time in Australia, I think it was at Timmins, is figure 8 racing. We have a lot of county fair celebrations. They race once a year, and I've seen a little bit more than 300 figure 8 tracks. And that's a lot of fun as well. They have a lot of action doing that.
Kamikaze, I think it is, figure 8.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for stopping in. You're going from here straight back to the airport?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to leave.
Well, so glad you popped in, so glad we ran into you. Amazing that we're track 2,506. The track in Melbourne tomorrow is 2,507.
It is. It's at, I'm going to say this wrong, Sandown?
Sandown.
Sandown, yes.
Yep.
Sandown is the road course. And then there's an oval track that's racing later in the afternoon called Druin. Probably got that screwed up.
No, not Druin.
Yeah, Druin. And then 4 or 5 days of just relaxing, sightseeing, and then going up to Lismore and...
it'll rain there.
I hope not. Although, are they part of the Grafton thing?
No, Grafton is a different track again, but it's run by Lismore Automobile Club. So.
Interesting job. Yeah, pretty cool life. Yeah, the website, randylewis.org. He's updated his business card to have more than 80 countries. It says more than 80 countries visited, 2,500 racetracks, and he's actually got a report on each racetrack that he's been to. So he's got listed all the latest tracks he's been to. So I'm sure very shortly Collie will be listed on that website.
Commentary was terrible.
So I'm looking forward to meeting young Randy very shortly. Sounds like a very interesting guy, that is for sure. An absolute privilege to have him here in the southwest of our fine state, taking in some speedway.